Hello everybody, welcome on in here to our user group webinar where we're going to be talking about setting up the Church Windows program to be able to use the email features in the membership as well as the donations modules. My name is Jim. I'll be your webinar leader today, teacher today. I suppose I'm coming to you live on a sort of dreary day here in Columbus, Ohio. Springtime has taken its time to show up here in Ohio, unfortunately. But that is not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to discuss the email features in the Church Windows program. Before we get started, on your screen, you've got a GoToWebinar control panel. There is a red arrow button on that control panel that you can use to either minimize or maximize that control panel. Minimizing it gives you a little bit more room on your screen so you can see what we're talking about here today in our webinar. Maximizing it gives you access to the different features in that control panel, such as the questions box there. I'm joined here today by Josh, who will be helping me answering questions as we go here. If you could please restrict your questions to the topic at hand, which is specifically getting Church Windows ready to use the email features. We're not going to go too much into actually using the email functions once Church Windows is hooked into it. We'll touch on that briefly, but mostly we're talking about setting up Church Windows to talk to an existing email account. And that's what we'll be discussing here today. Church Windows, current versions of our program, are set up to be able to communicate with an existing email account using an SMTP connection. So your email account that you have that you want to use to send your emails from must have SMTP communications enabled for it. It stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, SMTP. So usually speaking, the first step to getting Church Windows ready to send emails is contacting your internet service provider and getting the SMTP settings for that provider. There are different levels of security that can be used and different port numbers that you'll also need to know. Once you have that information back from your internet service provider about the computer that hosts your email address, you're then ready to go ahead and enter that into Church Windows. The features in Church Windows that use this are in both the membership as well as the donations modules. I'm going to enter it into membership today. Once you've got this information logged into Church Windows and you've got your program hooked into an email account, those settings will be available for you in both the membership and the donations modules. So to get started, I'm going to launch membership. From here, the place to go to tell Church Windows how to talk to your email account is under your reports menu, underneath where it says email right here. I'm going to click that and it's going to take us into our step 1 window for the email feature. This, generally speaking, once you've got Church Windows ready to communicate with your email account, is going to be where you determine which folks in membership you want to send an email to. For the purposes of this, we don't care about that, so I'm simply going to click Next. Because it is on the Step 2 page, it didn't format correctly. It's up here at the, yeah. Let's see, if I maximize it, does it show up? It's not. Oh well. This is the window on the step 2 page for email is where you set up your communication with your email account. In the upper left hand corner of this screen where it says email setting is where you'll set these things up. If you click on your down arrow for email setting, if you have multiple email accounts configured, you'll see them all listed here underneath setting name. In this case, we do not have any set up, so I'm going to click the green plus button to set up a new email account. So that takes you to the setup SMTP email window. So I want to take just a moment to kind of give you a broad view of what we're trying to accomplish with this. What we're trying to get Church Windows to do from this screen is we're trying to get your Church Windows program to find an email server, first of all. So it's trying to communicate out to the internet to find a server that hosts email accounts, or an SMTP server. That's going to be the first thing we're going to try to get it to do. And once Church Windows is able to talk to that email server out on the internet, then you're going to enter in your specific email information, the email address that's hosted on that SMTP server, as well as your password. And once all of these things are hooked together properly, you'll be able to then send emails out of Church Windows. First thing you're going to do is set up a display name. If you have an organization where you have different people who want to send emails, like different people's email addresses, you can type in somebody's name here. Or if you have a single account that you're going to send all of your emails from Church Windows from, you can just type in that there. I'm just going to set up webinar email. This is just the title that appears when you click on your drop-down list under email setting. So display name is step 1. The second one is outgoing mail server. This is where you try to get Church Windows to hook in to that computer on the internet that hosts your email account. To create a new one, you click on your green plus button to the right there where it says add server, and it takes you to the SMTP server window. I have a test email account set up out on Yahoo, a Yahoo Mail account that I'm going to be trying to hook Church Windows into for our class here today. So I'm going to fill in the Yahoo email server information on this first window. You may have a Gmail account. You may have an account from a smaller internet service provider that's local to your church. There's a number of different places that can host your email accounts. So you fill in that information on this first window. So the host address, or the name of the Yahoo servers, are smtp.yahoo.mail.yahoo.com. That's how it's designated out on the internet, smtp.mail.yahoo.com. We are going to be using port number 465 for connecting to that. That's sort of like port numbers are different pathways to communicate through. So there are multiple port numbers that you may use. We use 465 for the port number because we use the type of SSL, which is called implicit SSL. SSL are different security settings that can be set up out on that email server. And I got this information basically just by Googling Yahoo Mail SMTP settings. Once you've got this information set in here, you must click the Perform Connection Test button to make sure that Church Windows is able to talk to that computer on the internet. It's going to give you a little progress bar. And it should give you a pop-up message that lets you know that the test was successful. If this gives you a message that it is not successful, there may be a number of things improperly set up on this screen. The SMTP host address could be incorrect. You could have the wrong port number or SSL type on there. So that's step one. This is where Church Windows is able to successfully find those email servers out on the internet. When you click OK here, your Perform Connection Test button goes green, and you can click OK to close this window. You will then see that mail server's name listed here underneath Outgoing Mail Server. So now that Church Windows can talk to that server out on the internet, now you need to set up the specific email account that is hosted there. So we do have a Yahoo Mail account we're going to set up there where it says from email address. Let's see, is it already here? I don't know. Let's find out. I'm going to click on our green plus button to create a new email address. And the one we're going to use is Church Windows 102 at yahoo.com. So that's where you just type in the email address that you're trying to hook Church Windows into. The name or organization is listed here. Now, when they receive the email, when you're ready to start sending these things out, what you have listed in this box is what they're going to see in the from box in their email. So when they receive an email from you, they're going to see whatever you have listed in here, that second box. So I'm going to click OK to enter that information into here. You'll notice it populates the username with that email account. Then you go ahead and type in your password for that account here in the password box. Let me go ahead and do that. Okay. Once you have these things set up, you click the Send Test Email button right here. And what this is going to do is now Church Windows is attempting to log into that email account, and it's going to try to send an email from it. And the address that you put in on this box is where it's going to send that email to. It is perfectly fine to send the test email to the same account. The test is still valid if you're doing it that way. When you click OK, now Church Windows is going to try to hook into that email account and send your test email. Server response was not available. Okay, so in this case, we actually are getting an error message on this. What I don't know is if I typed the wrong password in here. Let me go ahead and take a look at that. So the bottom of the message here, verify that you are connected and that your email settings are correct. So most of the time that's because I messed up the password here. Let me go ahead and try to type that in again. I think typing it in this second time that I messed up the password. Let's go ahead and try it again. There you go. So once everything is entered in here properly, you should get this message that you should receive an email into your test email here. Now, I want you to note the text of this message. If you do not receive the email, this indicates that your settings are incorrect or your firewall or ISP, which is your internet service provider, is blocking the port you are trying to use or blocking your emails. There are a rather large number of factors outside of your control or Church Windows control that goes into sending this email. There's the internet service provider that's hosting your email. There is different firewalls in your building, out on the internet, and oftentimes there are some hoops to jump through to get this stuff to work properly. But under normal circumstances, when you get this message, everything should be working okay. I'm going to click OK to that, and let's go take a look in our Yahoo Mail. Let's see if we got the thing. How do I do my send receive in here? because I'm not seeing it at the moment. Good times, good times. Let's give it a couple of minutes to find it because I do want to talk about some troubleshooting things that you can do, because it's not uncommon when you click your send test email button on here that you'll get different messages about it not being able to send. And when you receive those, sometimes it has to do with your SMTP settings up here. Sometimes you just need to tweak these things so that you get the right combination so that these things can be sent. I want to show you that real quick because this is most commonly the kind of work you need to do is with the outgoing mail server here at the top. This little yellow pencil button here at the top, right here, is your edit settings button. And clicking on that brings you back to your SMTP server window. Notice the little question mark buttons next to port number as well as use SSL on here. If you click on the little question mark button next to port number, it's going to show you some common port numbers here, 25, 465, and 587. A lot of times getting this to kind of push through and be able to connect out to your existing email account, you do need to kind of change some of these things to get it to pick up properly. So you may want to come in here and edit this, change it to 587 and explicit SSL, and try connecting using different settings, because sometimes different ISPs prefer different combinations of these settings for a third-party program like Church Windows to be able to talk to it. So if I were to come in here in that example, go with 587 and try explicit, you can try different combinations of settings here. I'm not sure if Yahoo accepts these settings or not. It does. So, you know, there are oftentimes more than one way that Church Windows can talk to a particular SMTP server on here. Okay. And then try with different settings to send your second test email here. Okay, that one was able to send as well. So there are different hoops that sometimes you need.
Phones are back up.
There are different hoops you need to jump through from time to time to get Church Windows to be able to communicate with your ISP. Let's see if we got our test email. There we go. This is what the test email looks like. It is called test email from the email account that you sent it from, and it'll show you that test email there. Once you've got this thing hooked into your existing email account, you click OK on this window, and you'll see that display name listed here under email setting. At this point, now you can use the different features in the membership as well as the donations modules with these features. I want to show you that not only is it going to exist there in membership, but if I exit completely out of membership and I go into donations and I look at the donations statement report, you'll also see that same setting has been saved for that. So if I come here to donation statement, click my next button there, we'll see that same email setting ready to rumble for this feature as well. If I come to my email tab on the step 2 page for my donation statement report, for email setting, you'll see webinar email that you can use. Okay, so if you set it up in one module, it will then also be available in the other module to use for there. We do like to do these webinars to talk about this one very specific thing, which is hooking church windows into your existing email account, because this is one of the trickier things to do in church windows. Sometimes there are a couple of different hoops to jump through to get this connection to work properly. The good news is, once you are hooked into your email account, you don't have to look at this stuff anymore. And now you're ready to use the email features in membership as well as the email features here for the donation statement. The things to keep in mind are that you may need to contact the internet service provider that hosts your email to make sure you know the SMTP settings that you need to enter into church windows. Sometimes you need to play with them a little bit to get it to work properly. And the other thing that I've noticed is that you want to make sure that the actual email account that you're using is hosted on the server that you're entering there for SMTP Server. Sometimes I've spoken to folks who are putting an email address that's hosted in a completely different place. You need to make sure you're knocking on the right door when you're setting this up. So that is basically everything I got for you for hooking church windows into an email account so that you can send emails out of our program. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. If you're all set to get on with the rest of your day, feel free to go ahead and click on the X in the upper right-hand corner of your GoToWebinar control panel. And for those of you who are out of here, I hope you have a lovely afternoon. We'll leave the room open a bit longer for anybody with specific questions about hooking church windows into your email account. Again, thank you guys so much for joining me here today. I hope you have a lovely afternoon.